Hello guys, Robert1 here coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video, and in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video we're going to be doing the future of Yu-Gi-Oh, a segment on my channel where we look at new cards in the game, discuss them, look at them, see if they're going to be any good for archetypes and any other decks in the game, and essentially discuss them. And in today's video we're going to be looking at the new Reptilianne cards, new Reptile support after the Abyss, and with Snake Rain's reprint. I guess this makes a lot of sense, seeing as well new support, make reptiles better, boost other types in the game. Like, it's really good to see that Konami are actually doing it. I don't know why they're focusing so much on reptiles now, like they haven't done anything for pyros or anything along those lines for a very long time. But hey, who knows, maybe they'll be really good. But today we're going to be looking at this lovely woman's new cards. I believe she is from GX, that little arc where they went into like the virtual world for a bit. Like where Cyrus turned into like a roid, and Jaden's dinosaur friend, I forgot his name, turned into like a T-Rex and stuff like that. So we're going to be looking at these cards, seeing if they're any good, and hopefully they are. So let's go ahead and get into it. So starting off, we have the Reptilianne Naomi. I think, I don't know how you pronounce that properly. It's like Mini or Nyamini. Terrible pronunciations, I know. Level 2 Dark Reptile Effect Monster, 200 attack, 0 defense, and you can only use one effect among the first and second effects with this card's name once per turn and only once that turn. So you can only use one effect of this card per turn. So, first effect, during the main phase, if you have a reptile monster in your graveyard, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard and target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0. So, this is basically a hand trap, where it says if you do have a reptile monster in your graveyard, you can just go ahead and discard this card and then instantly make something 0 attack. This is during either player's main phase, which is actually pretty nice because it just says during the main phase. So that's pretty good. And seeing as a lot of the reptile monsters do revolve around your opponent having 0 attack monsters, this actually makes a lot of sense, especially with like the link monster that says you can search monsters from your deck up to the number of 0 attack point monsters your opponent controls, I believe. So that's actually pretty decent. And we've got the second effect here, which is if your opponent controls a monster with 0 attack, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Okay, so pretty much during your turn or your opponent's turn, you send this card to the graveyard to pay something 0. On a turn later, if your opponent still controls that 0 attack monster, you're just going to get this for a free special summon. That's not bad at all. It's a free summon, and it's also just a free hand trap. This is make something 0. I wouldn't say it's the best hand trap in the game, don't get me wrong, but it's not bad. Like, I would say it probably does help reptiles quite a bit, the ones that revolve around 0 attacks, so not bad. What's this? What's the next monster? So this one, her tail has a sword. That's not a rattlesnake. There aren't any snakes with sword tails, are there? Okay, interesting. Reptilianne Kotal, and this is a level 4 Dark Reptile Tuner effect monster, so this does have Synchro support potentially as well. And this is level 4 Dark Reptile effect, 1400 attack, 1000 defense. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, if you control a Dark Reptile monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can special summon one Reptilianne monster from your hand up to the number of monsters with 0 attack your opponent controls. I'm gonna be honest, I wish this didn't say special summon from the hand, because obviously getting additional free special summons is always nice. Like, I'm not going to say that's not nice at all, but I would always prefer the ability to summon something from the deck, and especially with reptiles, where there aren't really a lot of good reptile support out there, that having just that ability to special summon a reptile from the deck isn't that bad, especially seeing as your opponent has to have 0 attack point monsters. You can't really make every monster your opponent has go to 0 attack, so it's just like, you could have added that it changed from hand to deck, but I see where it's trying to go. It's basically special summon more reptiles from your hand, and if your opponent does have 0 attack point monsters, then it's free resource, and it already is a free special summon from the hand, so that additional bit of effect can be nice too, I suppose. Especially if you make this with the white before making the link monster, because if you actually make the link monster first, then you special summon this from the hand, you've basically searched multiple reptile monsters, so you could be special summoning up to at least maybe like 4 monsters off this effect, like at most 4 monsters. So that's actually not the worst either. Like, potential OTK is there with this one, with this combo. And second effect, if this card you control is used as a single material for a reptile monster, you can treat it as a non-tuner. So okay, so it counts as a tuner and a non-tuner monster if it's being used for a reptile monster. So that's actually not bad. Like, that's pretty decent. So you can basically guarantee that this will always be synchro material, and with tuners, basically not being able to be used as synchro materials if you're already using another tuner, that can be kind of a problem with synchros at times, and this just makes the reptile synchros more generic. So that's actually kind of nice there. And there is a synchro monster from the look of it, and this is Reptilianne Melicin. Okay, I like how she looks. Like, it's very nice artwork. She also has bat wings for some reason, I don't know why. Level 8 Dark Reptile Synchro Effect Monster, 2500 attack, 2800 defense. Synchro materials, 1 reptile tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. Okay, so it's kind of generic, but it does require a reptile tuner monster. But at least you can have all the other monsters being different types of monsters. That's actually fair, I guess. You can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. And its first effect is, if this card was synchro summoned using only reptile monsters material, it can be destroyed by battle or card effects. Okay, protection, pretty good. It does have that downside as well if you didn't use non-reptile monsters. If you did use non-reptile monsters, pretty good. Second effect, when your opponent activates a card monster effect, quick fetch, you can target one face-up monster they control, change its attack to 0. Okay, I don't know how I feel about that, because obviously, well, it doesn't really, like, I would like it to have said, change an opponent's monster's attack to 0 and also negate that effect. Like, that wouldn't be terrible. That wouldn't be terrible, because it's just like, okay, it is a negate for reptiles, and to make reptiles better, they do need kind of like negates and stuff. And I feel like being that, oh, your opponent has activated an effect, well, you can just make one monster they control go to 0, and by doing that, you also get to negate that effect. And I feel like that would have been a lot better than just turn something to 0 attack. Like, literally, your opponent activates a monster effect, fine, like, you get to turn something to 0, but that's all it does. I feel like, because like, if your opponent activates like Ash Blossom, okay, they've ashed you, you've made an opponent's monster 0 attack. What do you do from there? Like, you can't do anything. That's the sad part about this spell effect that I'm kind of trying to put across, that it should have probably had a negate effect in it too. Like, just to make reptiles better. Like, reptiles need that kind of support. Just to have that one negate in the deck is just fine. And also, it wouldn't even be that good of a negate, because your opponent would have to control a monster, and this card would have to turn that opponent's monster to 0 attack, I would say, just to be able to get that negate. It's just like, you could have made it a bit better. Third effect though, if the synchro summon card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can add 1 reptile monster from your deck to your hand. I mean, okay. I don't really think that is great. Like, always having a search is really nice, but to gain this effect, you have to either let this die to an opponent's card effect, or you have to crash it into an opponent's big monster. Like, there's not really anything amazing about this synchro monster to me. Like, I feel like this is the best part, where it says it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, which is really nice. The second effect, I definitely think should have been like, change one, you can target one face-up monster they control, change its attack to 0, and if you do, negate that effect. Like, that would have been just so much better in my personal opinion, but obviously Konami didn't. And if you've got the first part of the effect, this is never happening, most likely. You're never going to see your opponent send this to the graveyard, unless it's through, like, I don't know, Dingirsu or something along those lines. So, Synchro Monster is a bit of a disappointment to me personally. But going on to spells now, from the looks of it. So we've got Reptilianne Lamification. Okay. It's a normal spell card. Only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. Okay. First effect, send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, then choose 2 of these effects. You cannot choose the same effect twice, and you resolve them in the listed order, skipping the one not chosen. Okay, so it has 3 effects. So the first one, add 1 reptilian monster from your deck to your hand. Alright, so it's just a free searcher for like any of your reptilian monsters. Not bad. Reptile support is pretty decent there. Search any reptilian. I'm probably going to be searching this one or this one as the hand trap, just so you can guarantee that you can get, you know, free summons, which is not bad, but it's pretty decent. Second effect, you can add 1 reptilian spell from /trap from your deck to your hand, except Reptilianne Lamification. Alright, so free searches for any of your reptilian monsters or spells or traps. I don't really know much about the reptilian spells or traps, so this could be really good or really bad, I don't know. But third effect, change the attack of 1 face-up monster your opponent controls to 0. Doesn't target, so you're going to be able to guarantee at least 1 opponent's monster's attack at 0, so you can gain some of your reptilian effects. Not bad. I don't think this card is amazing though. I feel like it's pretty decent, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not terrible, but I feel like the fact that you have to send a card to the graveyard is the worst part about this card. And that isn't a bad thing either, because it means that you're then able to use the lovely mini here. I'm just going to say mini. The mini here that says you can just go ahead and send it to graveyard to make an opponent's monster's attack 0. So you can just send that to the reptile to graveyard, have access to that, go ahead and search it, or go ahead and then just search a spell and trap. Or hell, even just change the opponent's attack points 0, opponent's attacks points to 0, so you can then just go and, you know, use your effects for your Reptilian monsters that require your opponent to have 0 attack point monsters. So it's not a bad card, don't get me wrong. It's a search card for the deck, and having a search card is always nice. I just feel like it's okay. It's okay. It's pretty decent. Like, you're probably always going to be searching a spell and a monster most of the time, I would say, which is actually pretty decent. So I don't know. I just feel like reptiles in this support haven't got enough for me to think, oh, this is actually just insane. Like, this, like, in theory, this is actually a really, really strong card. Don't get me wrong. It's just the fact that I'm thinking of reptiles, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, they have a search card now. What good cards am I searching with that search card? You get what I mean? But okay, so that's the that is the search card, which isn't bad. It's not a terrible card. And you've got a new field spell, which hopefully is good enough to search. And it is Reptilian Recoil. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, you can target one monster you control with 0 attack and one dark reptile monster in your graveyard. Destroy that first monster on the field, and if you do, special summon that second monster in your graveyard. So this basically says, oh, I have a 0 attack point monster, and I kill it to summon a dark reptile in my graveyard. Okay. I guess I can normal summon Ash Blossom to pop to summon a dark reptile. I guess. And if you do special summon that second monster in your graveyard, yeah. So it's just like, all right, decent. I guess it's not the best, but it's there. Second effect. If your opponent activates a monster effect, you can target one face-up monster they control with 0 attack. Take control of that monster, then special summon one Reptilian token, 0 attack, 0 defense, level 1 to your opponent's field. That, on the other hand, that is very good. Because what that essentially means is that if you've gone ahead and, I don't know, if any of these effects change it till the end of the turn to 0, I don't think they do. I think they're all permanent to 0s. But if there is a Reptilian monster that turns things to a temporary 0 attack, or they've got a big defense monster that's also kind of a negate, then you can go ahead and use this when your opponent activates a monster effect, steal their monster, and potentially use their monster for link summons, for XC summons, for synchro summons. You can essentially use their monster for whatever you want. So that's actually a pretty good field spell. It's basically a little snatch steal that is really balanced, because you're giving your opponent a token to use for their own whims. You're only taking a monster that's 0 attack, so you change their opponent's monsters to attack, and it only works when your opponent activates an effect. So unless they don't want that thing to be stolen, then they're not going to use this card. They're not going to activate a monster effect until they think it's worth activating that monster effect. So that's actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Like, this support, it's not the best. I don't think this support is the absolute best Yu-Gi-Oh support I've ever seen. Like, looking at a lot of these, I'm thinking, okay, it's okay. Oh wait, now I remember who she is. She's from 5Ds. Like, and the only reason I actually realized that is because there's the Earthbound Immortal sign at the top right there. Big Brain just forgot that. So she's she's a dark signer. She's the one who hangs out with the reporter girl. That's actually the reason who turns the reporter girl into a dark signer. But back onto the point, I'm gonna be honest, these Reptilian cards I don't think are amazing. I feel like they have some potential, like especially this one, Kotal, because she just says, I'm going to special summon up to a ton of monsters from my hand. You also have the Link monster that just goes ahead and searches a ton, so if you search this as part of that, and then you just special summon 5 of it, it's just like really, really strong in my personal opinion. I feel like the Synchro monster just isn't good enough though. Like, honestly, the second effect should really have just been change the opponent's monster's attack to 0, and if you do, negate that effect. I feel like that should have been put in it. This search spell, it's a good card, don't get me wrong. Like, this is actually a very decent card. Like, being able to just search 2 Reptilian cards, 1 spell, 1 or traps / 1 monster, or even just change the opponent's attack points to 0. It's pretty decent, but I don't feel like this deck got enough support here to actually be considered any better or any improvements, really. Like, I see that where they're trying to go with it, which is kind of nice, but I don't know, I feel like they could have made it a lot better. So yeah, that's just my thoughts and opinions on this, guys. Tell me what your thoughts are on these cards in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it, because honestly, I feel like the best card made here is probably between Reptilian Ramification or Recoil here, because this is basically just, I'm going to steal your very low attack point monster, or I'm going to search 2 cards. Like, these are the 2 cards that I feel are pretty much the best, maybe, and the best monster is definitely Kotal. I feel like Kotal's just really has a lot of potential for Reptilians in the future. But guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on these cards in the comment section below. I'd love to see what your thoughts are, if they're good, if they're bad, you know, just tell me your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear those. I don't really have anything else to say about these in this video anymore to say, so please tell me your thoughts as I said, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, check out all the links in the description, and I'll see you guys later. Robot1 signing out. Reptilians, they're pretty decent, but I don't think they're meta, so later all.